Stop what you're doing. It's that time to submit your assignment, and that's amazing. We're so proud of you. But before you hit that submission button, let's run through a quick and essential guide just to avoid any last-minute disasters. And trust me, the future you will thank you so much for it. Hi everyone, my name is Dan Wilbeck. I am a CIPD tutor for HRC Online, and this is the submission guidance for all CIPD levels. So all of these areas are, well, should not really be brand new and are available at length in the HRC Online community under Learning Resources. So if you want to go into more detail on what to do in this situation, then look at the learning resources available to you. What we're going to go through today is 4 key areas of the front sheet: the word count, spelling and grammar, and referencing. Okay, first off is the front page. This isn't just something that's here for decoration. It includes many things that we need to make sure that you enter accurately and correctly. So this is what the front page looks like. First of all, we want to make sure that the center number and the center name is correct. Of course, you are studying with HRC Online, so the center number and center name will always remain the same. Next, you've got the unit code, title, and assessment ID. If you're unaware of this, please just ask one of your assessors who can give you that information. It may be pre-populated already. And next, we have your CIPD membership number and name and surname. You need to pre-fill this information in. With your CIPD membership number, it's the first 7 digits of this. If you don't have a CIPD membership already, please contact your assessor for further guidance. Then we ask you to enter the assessment start date, so when you start working on this piece of work, and the assessment submission date when you finished on this piece of work. And then towards the bottom, we have desired word count, and that is an area we'll be discussing over in a few moments. However, this is where you will enter what your word count is for the assignment. And then the boxes further below that are not to be filled in by yourself and would be filled out by the assessor and relevant IQA. There is a secondary page to the front page, and it is just requiring your declaration of your work, which would just include your name, a signature, and the date, to make sure that the date is the same date as your submission date as well. So with the signature, one thing that is required is it needs to be a wet signature. We at HRC do recommend you use Signaturely. However, there is alternative methods for this. It needs to be a signature that you have done directly yourself and not something digitally. So you can take a picture of a piece of paper and then submit that picture into the assignment, and that is also acceptable. Okay, in terms of the word count. Now, the word count is something you shouldn't really ignore. In this certain scenario here, I'm giving a word count of 2,500 words. Great, I've got 10 questions in this unit, which means that I've got 250 words per each question approximately. Granted, CIPD's word count policy has a plus or minus 10% leeway on that words, which allow you an extra or under 250 words. If we amalgamate all of that together into the approximate words per question, the maximum words per question is around 275, and then on the minimum end is 225. So this is great in just giving you that piece of structure, really, in order for you to say, this is how much I'm writing too much or too little. One thing I would mention as well with the word count is to make sure that you are including the scenario. Check over your assessment brief to see if there is a scenario included. If you are not addressing that scenario in your answers and that word count, unfortunately, that will be an instant refer. So make sure that your assignment brief has a scenario. You are including that within the word count allocated. To check word count with Google Docs, there is a menu bar where you can type in word count or count words in this instance. Alternatively, you can do Control, Shift, and C. And then there would be a little pop-up bar in the bottom left of the screen for how many words are present. With Microsoft Word, it's slightly differently. You go under the review section and you can click word count. Alternatively, you can use the search bar to type in word count. As well, 9 times out of 10, in the bottom left-hand corner, the word count will already be appearing in your Microsoft Word document. You can also open up a further word count, which breaks it down into slightly more detail with Microsoft Word. Okay, moving on to spelling and grammar. One thing about spelling and grammar is we all have typos. Take a look at these examples. So definitely, it's a word that is always spelled incorrectly, but that's fine. We all spell words incorrectly. And another common word is achieve, where this instance it says achieve. So just ensure that you are using the correct spelling. Also with spelling becomes the punctuation. There are so many different punctuation marks that you can use. So for example, a comma, a semicolon, a full stop, an exclamation mark, blah, 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 blah. So just ensure that you're using the right one in the right area. Okay, and also as well, there is a UK English and US English that exists. So in this instance, there is 2 different ways to spell one word, even though it's the same language. Because we are a UK accredited course, we would like you to be using UK English. So for example, spell behavior, O-U-R, organization with an S instead of a Z. So there's these alternatives that will just slowly drop in, but that's okay. Some references and some sources that you are using will have the American spellings because they are likely to be somewhere that is using American English. But ensure that you are using the correct English when you are typing your answers out. Additionally, as well, we do ask you to look at your words that you're using. So this helps with the word count. For example, here, very unique. This is a very redundant word because the word very has been used on top of unique, which is already addressing that same. So you can condense your word count down if you do have too many words. End result, it's still the same result. Free benefits, it's still a benefit. So looking at those redundant words, but additionally as well, we have some double negatives that may not necessarily make sense. So for example, here it says not uncommon. It is not uncommon that this business, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't necessarily make sense. It may make sense in the way that you communicate with people, but on a formal academic level, does not make sense. So take a look at that and then ensure that you're not using double negatives. To check how to find your spelling and grammar, or to do a spelling and grammar check, we would suggest that you go on Google Docs onto Tools, Spelling and Grammar, and Spelling and Grammar Check. Alternatively, though, you can do Control, Alt, and X. With the Microsoft Word is slightly less steps. You can press Review, and then Spelling and Grammar. Alternatively, you can press F7 for that. Okay, so we're going to move on to the big one, which is the referencing. And at HRC Online, we use Harvard referencing. This is not a suggestion. This is something that you need to do. It is the law of academia. Every quote, every theory, every source, every piece of information that is not your words must be properly cited. This means using an in-text citation, a full reference list, which we'll talk about in a moment. Failing to do so will result into plagiarism, which is a serious academic offence, which leads to referrals. So make sure that you are referencing correctly. And as well, that means using the same correct format of authors' names, page numbers, publication dates where appropriate. Double check that your references are accurate and consistent. By that, we mean that you are using the Harvard system and you're not drifting into another system whilst you are in the same piece of work. We use Harvard because that is the most widely used referencing tool based around business related studies. And as this is a business-related study, it seems appropriate to use Harvard. And it's not just about avoiding penalties as well. It's to ensure that we are engaging correctly with our sources, and it adds integrity to your argument. Proper citation enhances the quality of your work and demonstrates that honest academia, ensuring that your research is professional but also respected in what you're saying. So let's take a look. The common way that people reference is use quotation marks. For example, this person here has said, "Businesses are great if they do this," said Smith, 2023. Although not incorrect on how it's been referenced, there's a way that you can do that slightly better. You can reframe it and put that into more of an academic formal manner. So, according to Smith, 2023, businesses are given a reputable name if they do this. It just adds that more academic flair and rigor to what you are saying. You could enhance that reference even further by saying a counter argument or somebody that agrees with what Smith is saying, just so that it starts that academic conversation in your writing. And then you have an appropriate reference list at the end. This is something that is underneath your responses in the questions. So as you can see, this is a reference list, and the reference list is very varied. It is using peer-reviewed literature that can be found on the likes of Google Scholar or other academic journals online and books. So by this, we are saying it's okay to use web links, but we would prefer you not to from an academic point of view, because there are so much more academic pieces of work out there that will help back your critiques that you are saying in your response. Now, deep breath, relax. What I would recommend now is make sure that your assignment includes all of these aspects correctly, they are formatted correctly, and then you are able to submit. We're not doing this to trip you up, to throw an obstacle in the way. We want to set you up to succeed. So by following this submission guidance, we will be able to make sure that you are not being referred and you're hitting that pass, or a high pass is even somewhere more achievable. So this has been submission guidance. My name's been Dan Welbeck. If you have any questions relating to this, please, as mentioned, go to the HRC online community. I'll look under learning resources. If you have any more questions though, you can ask them directly to your assessor. Thank you very much and good luck with your assignment.